Who's the host helping B2B marketers win? Yup, it's this guy, Mr. Vince Quinn. DMo helps with disciplined discovery and pain-based, specific, personalized POVs. Marketing and sales follow the 80-20 rule and fed by signal, compelling pipeline fuel. If you're really confused by all the noise and buzz, just listen. You'll get clarity right here on Future Fuzz.
Welcome to Future Fuzz, the digital marketing podcast.
And the biggest culprit was poor discovery. You know, invariably, there'd be some holes in deals where you didn't uncover critical information about the problem, the people, the priorities, the business case, the process, right? And when you have those holes, you can work very hard for a long period of time and then get unpleasantly surprised after a lot of work.
All right, welcome into Future Fuzz, the digital marketing podcast. I'm Vince Quinn, and today we're talking about the connection between sales and marketing through the pipeline. Joining us for that conversation is David Morse. He is the CEO of DMo Worldwide. He is the former Chief Revenue Officer of Cambridge Mobile Telematics, and he is the author of The Heart of the Sale. There's also another title that we'll get to later. A little surprise for you. But David, welcome to Future Fuzz.
Hey, Vince, really nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so first off, as we're recording this, book brand new, just released. So congratulations on that. And for the people who want to understand the basic idea of the heart of the sale, just give us a brief overview.
Happy to do that. So it was a great week. We were number 2 on Amazon for the sales category last week. So, exceeded all my expectations. I'd never written a book before, and it was a labor of love. Great to get it out there in the world, though. Finally. And why I wrote the book was, I've spent a 20-year career in enterprise sales, really working with big, complex companies, complex sales. And one of the things I saw, even though it was a very successful run, was that deals would evaporate. They'd close later than they should. They'd close for less money than they were forecasted to do, right? So that's not good if you're in sales. And the biggest culprit was poor discovery. Invariably, there'd be some holes in deals where you didn't uncover critical information about the problem, the people, the priorities, the business case, the process, right? And when you have those holes, you can work very hard for a long period of time and then get unpleasantly surprised after a lot of work. And so, through the work that I've done with my teams, I just realized that discovery was like a super essential skill, because it is the skill that feeds everything else that comes after when you're working with big companies. And so decided to write a book because I was tired of having those conversations, and hopefully I could help people avoid some of those problems. And that's why I wrote the book.
Yeah. And one of those things that you address is the idea of just marketing's relationship to sales. And obviously everybody seems to treat it differently. But what's your general approach to the idea of how sales and marketing should work together in that process?
It's a great question. And I think it depends on the type of company you are. So for example, you can have a volume and velocity software company. Maybe your average selling price is like $5,000 or something. And it's really fast, and marketing doesn't necessarily participate in the full funnel, right? It's mostly top of the funnel. However, when you're selling to larger companies, more complex deals, you tend to do what's called ABMS, which stands for account-based marketing and sales. And there's just a lot of personalization. There's a lot of work. And marketing and sales need to work hand in hand and be one team as a full funnel team. So marketing isn't just participating at the top of the funnel. They're really participating into the mid and sometimes the later stages of the deals when you work with these big companies.
And so what are some of the things that looks like then? When you bring it together and they are operating together, what are some of the kinds of functions or ways they might operate together in unison?
In general, if you were to step back, it's probably like, call it the 80-20 rule. So marketing in that scenario can provide 80% of what the sales channel needs to go out there and do the work they need to do. And then it's up to the 20% is really up to the salesperson to customize, to personalize, to understand the situation on the ground and really resonate with that customer. And I'll give you a good example. Like, well, so what can marketing do? So one thing marketing can do is develop what I call PSP POVs. That's an acronym that stands for pain-based, specific, personalized points of view, right? And all that means is, number one, it's pain-based. It means they're not focused on the product. They're focused on the customer's problem in the way that they do messaging, right? So I talk about problems. I don't talk about product. Two is it's specific and not generic. So anybody can come into a company and say, I will reduce your costs. I will increase your revenues. And that means nothing to anybody in a company. It's like, of course you can do that. So you have to get like a little bit of a lower level down. So that's the specific part. And then personalized is, for example, when we were working with Progressive, Progressive is a direct insurer and they do things a certain way. So you have to, kind of make your messaging about their approach versus, let's say, a State Farm approach, which is more of like a huge agent force type of approach. So what marketing can do is they can do a couple things. One is they can personalize based on persona. So I would have messages, I would have tools, I would all sorts of stuff for the VP of product who cares about selecting risk. The VP of product, would care about, for example, the profitability and risk selection. VP of claims cares about something totally different. So if you went in there with the same message to both of them, it wouldn't resonate. So marketing can help by articulating what each persona cares about. Another thing that marketing is, so for example, we're the biggest part of our business is insurance. However, we also sold to the rideshare companies like Uber and automotive companies like Hyundai. And we were new in that space. So we had to come in with a point of view that said, you need telematics. Even though you have these big new cars and they're really, really fancy, you kind of need what we do because you need to address the needs of your existing customers, which is something they weren't doing. And we would quantify that. How much in parts and services revenue could they particularly attain by leveraging this kind of technology? And that was all done by the marketing team. Yes, in collaboration with the sales team, but all the research, all the finding that out was done by the marketing team. And then, to produce these kind of tools and messages, the sales team could then take it and I can go in and personalize for GM or Ford or Hyundai or Toyota based on what was going on at that company at that time. So marketing had a big role, even though they were kind of a little bit removed, to making our conversations very, very successful.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a beautiful thing in that sense to be so aware of the exact kinds of people and make it easy to understand, right? Hey, you're dealing with this problem. Here's the exact kind of value that you're going to have as a result of working with us, and to warm people up to that degree before the salesperson's fully involved. I mean, yeah, what a relief. I mean, having been on the sales side of things where you go into people sometimes and they're like, wait, so what do you do again? And it's like, how did we get on this call? It can just get really complicated sometimes. So I can imagine for the salespeople also, that is a massive relief to get that kind of boost.
Oh, it is. And you sound so much smarter. You resonate more, and you don't sound like every other salesperson who's coming in and saying, I have an AI powered blah, blah, blah. Right? If you find yourself saying I have an AI powered blah, 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 you should punch yourself in the face until you stop saying that, because it doesn't work today anymore. Like, buyers just have so many choices and they're just inundated. And if you come in there with that type of stuff, as opposed to knowing their problems and being specific, you're just going to have one meeting and that's it, if you get that.
Yeah. So it can go sideways fast. And thinking about this, I mean, from the bigger picture of things, right? So you have this relationship and you're getting 80% from the marketing. So they're doing this heavy lift and getting the word out and spreading awareness of the problem and pain. And then from the sales side, you have to obviously go convert that and get more specific. So what are some of those things just from a basic discovery standpoint? What are some of the ways, hey, I understand the overall idea of how these things can work. What are some of the more specific parts of discovery that people tend to miss when they really are going to personalize and solidify that relationship?
Fantastic question. Because I think there's like, if you were to imagine you're a salesperson walking in the door and you're going to say 4 things when you meet with somebody. All right. The first thing you're going to say is something specific like, I noticed that you are a company that does multi-channel marketing campaigns. I noticed that you're launching 2 new products this quarter. I noticed that you're hiring 10 to 15 new salespeople this quarter, right? I walk in there like that, I've done my homework. So that's kind of thing number 1, is to say, I've noticed this thing about you. So to do the homework. 2 is to transition to similar companies. So I've noticed in my work with other companies like yours that typically 60% of marketing campaigns are launched late. They lack consistency and they're not personalized, right? So that's kind of the symptom or the problem. And it shows that I work with companies like yours. I understand what they're doing. The third thing you're going to say is, so what? As a result, those campaigns don't engage customers. They don't convert as highly as they should. And you don't hit your revenue goals because of all those problems I just mentioned. Now, my hypothesis, Vince, is that you might be experiencing some of the similar things. So tell me, what's been your experience with what I just brought up? Now, contrast that with, Vince, so what are your biggest challenges?
Yeah.
Like I walk in the door and say that, right? Do you feel the difference between the specificity, the gravitas, the preparation I've had? And you're probably going to have a conversation with me versus if I just walk in the door and say, what are your problems?
Future Fuzz is sponsored by SalesSource, B2B pipeline management and sales growth for your business.
Yeah, 100%. And I really see that same kind of approach just when it comes to networking in general, right? Like when you go to meet somebody, it's like, okay, I'm going to sit down with somebody for 30 minutes. It's a casual conversation. Do they have any idea what I do? Have they looked at my business at all? Have they seen anything that I've produced? Because for me, it's a lot of different kinds of content that I've been involved with. So if they have any idea about any of that, do they understand the industry at all? Because there's been times where being in podcasting and marketing, people will sit down and be like, so podcast, it's like a radio show on the internet, huh? And it's like how did we get here? How did this happen?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and to go in and I think there's a lot of value in that too, from the idea of being a salesperson and building those relationships with the other people, because you pick up so much information about how all these other industries operate. And to say, okay, well, in this industry over here, they tend to go through their processes in this way. And this industry over here, it's a little different, but we service both of them. And there are some relations here. And I might be able to get some value from this side over on that one. And it's just because you do the homework and you're like genuinely interested in how they operate. Yes. It's definitely hard to come by at times. But I mean, the value is just tremendous.
I mean, I had, like, when I first started my business, I mean, I was just starting and I got this pitch from somebody who can help solopreneurs, do their marketing. I agreed to take this webinar because I was curious, like, because a lot of stuff was happening with AI and orchestration. I was just more curious. No kidding, like 30 seconds into it, he brings up like a workflow tool and starts like, didn't ask me any questions, didn't know anything about me. And I was just like you said, how did we get here? Why did I agree to this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's agony. I mean, it's just pure because that's the problem is when you're not doing that kind of work and building that kind of relationship, it gets to the point where it's not only that they're not interested, but they might actively be against you. Like you've poisoned the well. And right. And when you're thinking about like the network of referrals and things like that, because obviously, I mean, the truest win in a sense is like not only do you go and land that deal, but it's going so well and you've built such a good relationship, they'll also vouch for you to other people. But you've poisoned that opportunity because you just didn't put in the time.
Oh, Vince, like that's the phrase of the day, right? Poison the well. Like it is a good one because the other thing that's happening is buyers just have so much more information today than they did in the past. And they probably already have a short list for the category of the thing you're selling. So you can't afford to poison the well. The well's kind of already not accessible to you, right? And then when you go and poison it, it's definitely, you're definitely not getting that water.
Yeah. So you wouldn't drink, folks. Water is good. Water is good.
Yes.
We like water. So drink your water.
Yes.
But Going a little bit deeper here, because one of the interesting things that you've talked about in previous conversations that we had is the idea of signal management. And so if you could just explain a little bit what you mean by signal management and how that applies here to, discovery and sales.
So I think it's a good one because with AI, there's a lot of talk around signal management because data is more plentiful. Data is large amounts of data are able to be through APIs are able to be accessed. The AI allows you to process it at greater speeds with greater intelligence. So this is why probably signal management is more prevalent in discussions than it's ever been. So I think about it in three different types of signals. So one is what I would call market signals. And so we use this at CMT when we hired our European team and went into the European market. The thing is, there is no European market for insurance. There's the Spanish market, the French market, the Italian market, the German market. And they're all different because they have all different laws. They have all different cultures. And so one of the things marketing did with us was to create what I call the white paper for the market. And what that did was a base document that fed every message that, the French business manager would go in and talk to customers about. And so that's one. One set of signals is something that's maybe a little bit more static, but it's personalized to the market. The second set of signals are the account-based signals. So you can have things like firmographics. So bringing in information, financials. Did sales go up? Did sales go down? Profitability go up? Did profitability go down? Are margins better than competitors or worse than competitors? Have they made any org changes? So that's firmographic. Public information. So there's a treasure trove of information when companies announce in the press and in investor presentations about new products, their strategies, where they're having challenges, their risks in their 10Ks. Engagement. Companies' accounts will come to your website or attend your webinars or go to your events. And those are signals around how interested they might be. Or guess what? Competitor events. Like they might appear on LinkedIn shaking somebody's hand at your competitor's event. Yeah. That's a signal, right? That's a good signal to know.
Yeah.
Technographics. So did they use Salesforce.com? Did they use HubSpot? And then lastly is what I would call intent. So when we would see people sending people to insurance industry events to learn about telematics, or they started putting jobs on the site that says, hey, we're looking for a head of telematics, let's say. These are signals too, where they're kind of signals of intent. So there's a rich treasure trove of information about account base. So that's the second one. The third one is person based. So, the person just got promoted to run domestic product, right? The engagement. Somebody who is the VP of product is actually coming to your site, doing downloads and going to your events, right? Socials. They're sharing information about, hey, I saw this thing on telematics. Does anybody know anything about this? Or, hey, we're really interested in this. And they start asking questions in groups. So, you could see what I'm saying is like to do this as a human being to try to hunt and peck and go get this stuff. Tough. AI and signal management can bring it together and make it accessible, not only, to your human salespeople, but also to the systems that might drive some rules or some marketing campaigns or things like that. So I feel like we're in the early days of this type of signal management. That's what signal management.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And when you talk about, really just going back through everything we've covered so far in this conversation, how that all ties together of supplying all this information and building these relationships and focusing on pain and understanding their specific needs in these specific markets with their specific kind of business. And, it all just comes together. You see the intention. And when you're doing that with actual engagement, it's going to lead to sales. So I can see how that all ties together in a really nice way. But I also, speaking of tying things together, I said something up front, and I deliver on my promises, David. I'm a man about delivering. You fascinate me because you mentioned just before we got started here, a completely wonderfully fun project. And I just need you to explain to people what this is.
In addition to launching my book and building my business, I am also a comedian and rapper. So I've trained at Second City in Chicago and performed at Improv Boston and all over the world as a comedian. But I'm also a rapper. I was cast in a rap improv show one time, and I've always liked 90s hip hop. And so I've been rapping, and I am putting out an album. It's called Crowbars, CRO Bars. And it is basically 9 famous hip hop song instrumentals with sales and marketing lyrics. And so I put out the first one Friday, it's called Discovery. And it's basically my book in rap form.
Yeah.
And a parody of Notorious B.I.G's smash hit Hypnotize. And so I got a bunch of those. I got Kendrick songs. I've got Outkast songs coming out. So it's going to be awesome.
It sounds awesome. Where can people listen to that? Where can they find that music?
Well, so it's probably coming out on Spotify, the whole album, in the next week or two.
Okay.
The first video is actually a featured video on my LinkedIn page. But if you go to any channel, I'm David Morse. Any channel, you could find my stuff.
Love it.
And I'll be promoting it. Yep.
As you should be. I mean, that sounds amazing. That's just what a fun thing to do. And gutsy, by the way. I would say not a lot of people, especially when you get these professional environments, are willing to go out and show personality in that way. I love that, man. Good for you. That's awesome.
Well, it beats publishing another cheat sheet to cheat sheets or whatever else is happening on LinkedIn, right? So.
Yeah, it grabs attention, man. It grabs attention. It's just like a fun.
And by the way, I wrote a rap for you today.
Oh, no way. Seriously?
Yes. I wrote a rap for you today.
Oh my God. Okay. We have a rap song. Do you need anything to set it up? I'll hand the floor over to you, but.
Yeah, no, it's very short. I don't even need a beat. All right, so you ready?
All right.
Who's the host helping B2B marketers win? Yup, it's this guy, Mr. Vince Quinn. DMo helps with disciplined discovery and pain-based, specific, personalized POVs. Marketing and sales follow the 80-20 rule and fed by signal, compelling pipeline fuel. If you're really confused by all the noise and buzz, just listen. You'll get clarity right here on Future Fuzz.
The crowd goes wild.
Boom.
Boom. And air. You love to see it. Wow. We have a new theme song. My goodness. That was incredible.
I got to come up with an instrumental. I didn't do that quick enough, but...
I love it, though, dude. That was awesome. Seriously. Thank you for that. That's so good. Okay, so for everybody then, first off, if you want to listen to David's music, where we were just at, again, David Morse everywhere. David, if people want to buy the book, The Heart of the Sale, where should they go to pick up The Heart of the Sale?
Right now it's on Amazon, available in ebook, paperback, and a hardcover. And until, I don't know, when does this come out?
So this will be coming out, let's say, somewhere 6 to 8 weeks, typically, from when we record.
So it's very affordable, and it probably will give you a gazillion times ROI on your purchase. So just go to Amazon and get it.
You can't beat a gazillion times on the ROI, folks. Talk to anybody in sales or marketing. So there you go. All right, David, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time. Been a great conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Vince. Loved it.
Thanks for tuning in and making the choice to listen to this podcast. If you liked what you've heard today, please don't forget to subscribe.